Good morning. Okay guys, let's get started into a nice easy child's pose. Open your knees as wide as your mat. Let your belly soften in between your thighs. Let everything go. So this is an opportunity to just empty your mind of any extraneous thoughts, any distractions. I may have my head lifted so you can hear me better, but otherwise keep your head down. Your arms can be outstretched or by your side or in between your thighs or under your forehead. Anything that feels right to you right now. Because this is your practice, and whatever I tell you to do or I ask you to do or suggest that you do may not be appropriate for you, so I want you to do you. And as you do you, start to notice what's going on in your body today. How is that connection happening today for you? You know, for some it's early morning, you're just getting out of bed, and sometimes there's a lot of stiffness. And for others, you may have rode, run for a couple of hours already. So maybe you're feeling a little looser so you can find a little bit more space. And then just make that initial connection to the breath, which is the initial connection, but it remains with us throughout the entire practice. And it's our guide, it's our barometer of how we're working today. How deep can we go? How shallow do we need to go? Where can we push? Where can we find our edge? Where we need to back off of our edges? Reach your arms out in front of you if they're not. Allow the hips to sink to the heels. Keep everything but your heel of your hands and your palms down on the floor. So your wrists, your forearms, your shoulders, your elbows are off the floor. And try to connect to the space underneath the underarms and wrap it around the shoulder girdle. So try to stay lifted there so that you don't collapse through the chest. We'll come down shortly, just take a few more breaths here. And then as you settle in, bring the forearms down and just bring the hands together in prayer. And take the prayer behind your head. Stretching out the triceps, but connecting to this prayer. Today is a day of prayer for some, so we might connect with that. Keeping the hands by your head in prayer, lift yourself up to sit on your seat, on your heels, and then bring the arms up over your head. Interlace your fingers, release the thumb and forefinger. Stretch out of the sides of your body. So imagine that you're being pulled by your fingers to the ceiling, but you're dropping your shoulders down and you're connecting your bottom ribs or your lower ribs towards your hips. Navel point pulls in and up. Pelvic floor pulls in and up. And then just see if you can lengthen more out of your side body, but stay grounded through the heels and the hips. And on the next inhale, let's rise up to our shins. Maybe you tuck your toes, maybe you stay wide in your knees, maybe you close them. And lift up and over to the right side. Just come back and forth a couple times, side to side. A little tick-tocking. And then make your way one more time to the other side if you haven't done it. Come back to center, lift your arms up again. Feel like you're being pulled to the ceiling with your fingers, but ground to the earth through the legs. And then find the space on the sides of the body to expand, and then around the body to expand. Lean up and over to the right side and hold it here for a few breaths. Open up your front shoulder, just drop your shoulders away from your ears. Push your hips forward, good, looks great. Inhale, come back to center. Up and over to the other side. Pull the right arm with the left arm. Maybe you look up at your arms, but remember, keep this lifted. This is a theme that goes through our entire practice, staying lifted through the rib cage. Inhale back to center, lift your heart. Open up your eyes, stretch your arms back behind you, and then release them and cactus them, just for a breath. As you exhale, bring the arms behind your back. Interlace your fingers, palms together. Release thumb and forefinger, and lift your heart up again. Lift, squeeze the shoulders together. Inhale. Now this time as you exhale, sit back on your heels, fold forward, reach the arms back and away from you. If you feel like you're ready to go up onto your shins and round your spine for rabbit, then get up there. If not, just stay on your heels. And if you are in rabbit, make sure that there's no weight in your head. You're pressing the weight into the top of the foot and shin. One more breath. Exhale back to your heels, release your arms, and stretch them out back in front of you for child's pose. One more breath. As you inhale, rise onto your fingertips and walk to your right side. Take left hand on top of right. Find that length in the left side body, all the way from the underarm to the outer hip. And maybe look under your arm, push your hands to the floor, push your hips to your heels. Big breaths. Big hearty breaths. Don't start to get stagnant in your breathing. Rise up on your fingertips and walk to the other side. So we always want to keep the breath smooth and controlled, even though we might be fighting some balance or some poses that might feel a little challenging. The breath remains the constant. One more breath. Inhale, rise up and walk back to the center. As you exhale, push back one more time to your heels. Inhale, rise to your hands and knees. Keep your arms out in front of you. Shift your knees back a little bit further, and then tilt your hips forward and just lift into a kind of a hybrid cobra up dog, a little bit of a back bend or extension. And then maybe rock a little bit side to side, look over your shoulders towards your opposite heels. Sometimes this feels really good, so take what you need out of it. And then lift your heart, stay centered for a breath, bring your collarbones forward, and then lay your belly down on the floor. You might have to shift back a little bit and just adjust yourselves. Keep your feet as wide as your mat. Bring your forearms onto the floor for a Sphinx pose. Lift your heart up, bring your prayer hands together, since this is a prayer class today. Squeeze your elbows towards each other. Pull your pubic bone forward. Lift your belly button. So there's this space between or underneath your hips, your hip bones, your ASIS, anterior suprailiac spine, and then the pubic bone. It's a little triangular space that we stay just right above, right on top of that pubic bone. One more breath. Keep yourself in this position, but turn your head over your right shoulder and see how far you can look to your left heel. And then take it to the other side. Just gently getting some juice into the neck muscles. And then go back to center. Lift your eye gaze up towards the sky. As you do that, think about drawing your elbows towards your chest and your chest towards your elbows, and you might find a little space there to move. One more breath. Release your hands. Push back to your heels. Take the toes and touch them together as you sit back in child's pose. Inhale to your hands and knees. Let's make some dancing lion circles. Tuck your toes or don't tuck your toes. See what feels right for you. Make them big or make them small. So let your body be the guide right now. And then reverse it if you haven't. And then let's all meet back into a neutral position. Now your knees are under your hips. Your hands are slightly forward. Spread your fingers. Spread your upper shoulders apart. Bring the collarbones apart. Tuck your toes underneath you. And softly lift your hips into your first downward facing dog. And then just walk it a little side to side, moving your weight from right hand to left hand, from right foot to left foot. And then just go through the motion of walking your dog a little bit. And when you're ready to settle in, find your first downward facing dog. Chest towards the thighs, biceps stay by the ears, the arms are strong, don't fall hard underneath the underarms. Lift the kneecaps up, make them strong so your quadriceps are engaged. So there's a lot of action, even in poses that might not feel like you're doing anything. If you engage muscle action, you will have a very strong practice. Come up to your tippy toes, pull your knees up, and then come forward to a high plank. Shoulders are now over the wrists, heels on top of toes, pull the knees up. Spread your upper back muscles apart. Breathe in. Look forward. Shift a little forward. Keep the arms straight, lower the hips towards the floor. Top of the foot and shin down. So maybe you're in, again, it's still a little bit of a hybrid upward dog position. Downward dog, hips up in the air. High up on your tiptoes. Pull your knees up, pull your pelvic muscles up towards your center point. Keep that engaged as you shift into that plank one more time. Resist the earth, spread your upper shoulders apart, knees are lifted. And then shift a little forward, lower the hips towards the floor, release the top of the foot. The knees, lift your chest up. If this is too extreme, go back down to a cobra or to a sphinx pose. And then downward dog is where we meet. Good. Settle in for a couple more breaths. Look at the front of your mat. Soften your knees and make your way to the top of your mat. Take your time. So your hips, your hammies might be a little bit stiff, so just take your time. And then fold over your body in half. Let it go. Shake your head out, yes, no. And let's go ahead and grab opposite elbows here. Pull apart from each side. So you'll feel this nice opening in the upper back, stretching across the shoulder blades. And then switch the cross of your arms. And then just let the arms dangle by your side. Bring the chin to the chest and roll up through your spine. Roll the shoulders back and around. Good. Couple of shoulder rolls back. Couple of shoulder rolls forward. Good. Let your arms rest by your side. Your feet are maybe hips width or a little bit wider. Tuck your tailbone underneath you. Broaden your collarbone. Spread your fingers. So think about pulling your kneecaps up. Tailbone under. Navel point draws in. Shoulders drop down. Collarbone spread. Crown of the head reaches to the sky. And it all grounds from the earth up. Inhale, stretch the arms up and overhead. Touch the palms in prayer. Bring it to your heart center. Exhale. Inhale, bring the arms down, up and overhead. Palms touch in prayer. Bring it down to your heart center. Exhale. One more time. Inhale, bring the arms up overhead. Inhale, hands in prayer. As you exhale, soften the knees and fold all the way down. Turn the prayer down to the floor. Let your hands rest on the floor, shins or blocks. Halfway lift, inhale. Empty the breath, forward fold. Hang your head, let it go. Halfway lift, inhale. Exhale, fold. Like a little rag doll, roll yourself up to standing. Head on top of shoulders, roll those shoulders back and around. Heel toe your feet to touch. Bring your hands to your heart center. And pray. Breathe. So make your intention now. Set it for your practice, for the remaining part of this practice. Maybe there's a thought, a sound, a mantra, a prayer, a devotional thought. And then take that prayer to the third eye. Touch the thumbs to your third eye, the space between your brows. And then stretch the arms all the way up overhead. Keep the prayer unless your shoulders are tight. And lift up and over to the right side, pulling up and over to that right side, like there's a ball underneath your right side, and stretching the left side of the body. Inhale back to center, exhale up and over. So if your shoulders are tight, you can't touch your hands together, separate them or grab a wrist, or bring your hands a little bit closer to you. Pulling that right side. Inhale back to center, lift your heart. Open up the arms just as we did earlier on the floor. Exhale, hands behind your back, interlace your fingers, palms together, knuckles down, lift your chest. Bend your knees and forward fold all the way over. Separate your feet if you feel unstable. Hang the head down, bring the arms away from your back. Good. Look forward as you release your hands on the floor, shins or blocks, lengthen your spine and step your right foot back to the back of your mat. You can go to your knee or you can stay on the ball of your back foot. Square your hips towards center. And take the knee on top of the left heel, the left knee. And then just let your arms hover. Lift your belly up and in. Pull your pelvic muscles up and in. And then rise up to standing with your arms down by your side. Bend your back knee towards the floor, as low as it's comfortable for you to go. Drag your left heel towards your hips, so you're kind of engaging more into the hamstring and the glute. And then bring the arms up into prayer in front of you. And then bring the prayer overhead, cross your thumbs, and if that's too much, separate your arms. Now straighten the back leg without moving your hips. Breathe in, lift your heart up. Again, you're being pulled from the sky, and everything else comes grounded, so we don't create super duper arch in our back. Inhale, reach forward with your torso just a third of the way down. Pull your heel back on the right leg. Continue to reach forward as you take the right arm down, left arm up, twist open to the left side. Hug the left hip in towards your midline. Maybe you gaze up at your hand, maybe you don't. Pull that right kneecap up, hug everything towards that midline. Lift your belly up and away from your thighs, shoulders stacked. One more big breath. As you exhale, look down at your floor, left hand comes down, left leg straightens, or you might need to shorten your stance to do that. You might need blocks. Lengthen your spine, inhale. Fold over, exhale, head towards your shins. Inhaling and exhaling. So this could be extreme for a lot of us, myself included. Lengthen your spine as you inhale. Rebend your knee, hands on the floor. Step back to a high plank. If that's too much, go to your knees. Look forward and either stay on your knees or go halfway down. Roll through an upward dog, or maybe you're on your belly for cobra. Downward dog, hips high in the sky. Settle in here, let go. Take the opportunity to give your body a break. And all you do is rest. As you look forward, bring your right foot between your two hands. Help it out if you need to. Drop your left knee if you need to. Square off your hips. Once again, drop that back hip down. And then hover your hands off the floor. So your fingertips are just maybe grazing the floor or block. And then press down through your right foot, come up to standing. Keep your arms where they are. And bend your back knee towards the floor. So tuck that tailbone under. Push that left hip forward. Reach your fingers down. And then bring your arms out in front of you in prayer. Switch the cross of your thumbs if you can think of it. Good. Now bring the arms up overhead. Again, if the shoulders are tight, open up your arms. And then just straighten the back leg. Don't worry about lifting the hips. Drop them. Reach out of the sides of your body. And then shift forward a third of the way. Pulling, pulling, pulling. Drawing that right heel back so you have a slightly different sensation. And as you exhale, left hand comes down, right hand comes up when we twist. Open to the right side. Hug the hip in. Gaze up at your right hand. Lift your belly up and off your thigh. Breathe in, breathe out. Can you find more space? Can you lift your belly away from your thigh and find more rotation in the spine? One more breath. As you exhale, right hand comes down. Right leg straightens, or perhaps you shorten your stance. And then you draw the right hip back and the left hip forward. Hang your head towards your shins. Settle in for a few breaths. Don't make it tense. Don't overthink it. It's just a yoga pose. It's really just a stretch. One more breath. Good. Rebend your front knee. Plant your palms and step back to a high plank. Vinyasa through or skip. Add to push-ups if you'd like to. Lift your heart up. Downward dog, hips up in the air. High up on your tippy toes, bend your knees, look at your hands, and take yourself to the front of your mat. Look up. Exhale, fold forward. Now ride your breath to stand your way. Bring the arms up overhead. And take prayer to the heart. Exhale. Surya Namaskara A. Inhale, arms come all the way up overhead. Exhale, forward fold, hands to floor, shins or blocks. Inhale, halfway lift. Exhale, plant hands, walk, step, fly, hop back. Chaturanga Dandasana or to your knees. Upward dog or low cobra. Downward dog, hips up in the air. Take a couple breaths here. Inhale and exhale. Good, come on your toes, bend your knees, look forward, make your way to the top of your mat, halfway lift. Empty through the breath, let it go. Ride the breath to standing, bring the hands up overhead. Touch prayer to the heart center, exhale. Arms by your side, one more time. Arms come up all the way. Exhale, forward fold, hands to floor, shins or blocks. Halfway lift, inhale. Exhale, make your way through plank, through chaturanga, your way, or skip the whole thing and just find your way to downward dog or even child's pose is option. Hips up in the air. We stay for some breath. Once again, think about lengthening the sides of the body. Make sure you're not putting shoulder pressure here, so drop your shoulders away from your ears. Now bring your feet to touch, bring your right leg in the air. Nice and high. Look between and step that right leg through. Help it out if you need to. That's it. Right hand comes to the hip, turn to the right side, open up for that twist. We did this just a few moments ago. Hug your hips towards each center. Breathe. Reach in two directions, arm up, arm down. Good, look down as the right hand comes down, straighten the right leg and fold over it. Draw your right hip back and your left hip forward, hang your head, breathe. Good, now take your hands on the inside of that right leg, so your hands are to the left side, and then turn everything to the left side, 1/4 turn with that right foot. Climb to your fingertips, inhale. Exhale, fold your body in half. Let your head hang down towards the floor. For those of you who are very flexy, you might want to shorten your stance. If you're not very flexy and you need to widen just a little bit more maybe, but not too much, climb back to your fingertips, lengthen your spine. Crown of the head reaches forward. Bring the hands to your hips. Flat back. Make sure your knees are not hyperextended, so there's a soft bend in them where you're shifting a little weight into the balls of your feet. Crown of the head to the tailbone is nice and long. Lead through your heart as you rise up. Bring your hands on your hips and just give yourself a little massage. And turn your toes a little bit outward. Tuck that tailbone underneath you. Bring the arms up to the side. And then bend the knees and bend the elbows into goddess pose. Good. Tuck the tailbone underneath you. Scoop out. Bring your hands to prayer. Straighten arms and legs as you stretch up. Good. Bend your knees, hands in prayer, tailbone tucks. And press up. Let's do that one more time. We're going to stay on this last one. Bend your knees, hands in prayer, tuck your toes. Tuck your tailbone, don't tuck your toes. Keep your toes nice and spread. Lean forward. Good. Tilt your hips back so your crown of your head and your tailbone are trying to get in the same line. And then bring the hands to the floor. Straighten the legs and turn the toes back to center. Hang your head. Climb to your fingertips. Creep back around to the front of your room. Low lunge. Step back and do your vinyasa or skip. Add to it. You do you. Downward dog is where we meet. Feet are coming together. Left leg lifts high in the sky. Look between your hands and step it through. Help it out. Right hand moves in, left hand moves to your hip. Hug the hips in and twist. Look up at your left hand. Don't forget that back leg. Don't let it just kind of hang out there. Really keep it active. And hug everything towards the midline. Hug that left hip in. Breathe in. Crown of the head reaches forward. One more big breath. As you empty the breath, hands down. Left leg goes straight. Fold over that left leg. And then adjust it. So your left hip goes back and your right hip goes forward. Inhale. Try to get the roundness out of your back, guys. So keep the length in the spine. Inhale and exhale. Try not to also lean onto that left pinky toe. Keep that big toe down. One more big breath. Good. Now left hand inside of the right foot. So left foot, excuse me. Both hands are on the inside of that left foot. And then we're going to turn a quarter turn to face the right side of your mat. Climb to your fingertips, lengthen your spine. And this time walk your hands underneath and reach your fingers as far away from you as you can. Again, those of you who get to your head easily, feel free to take a headstand or any inversion. But also, just if it's too easy to get your head to the floor, then go ahead and shorten your stance. If it's a little bit more challenging, widen your legs a little bit. Don't go too far into a split that you can't get out. Inhale. One last pull. If you're up, come on down. And then bring your hands back under your shoulders, lengthen your spine. Turn your toes out and shorten your stance a little bit. Bend your knees and bring your hands to your hips, so the crease between your hips and the bone and your flesh. And then with that flat back, rise up. Straighten your legs, tuck your tailbone underneath you. Put your hands on your back just for a moment. Maybe you want to do a little back bend here, a little bit of an extension. And then bring the arms out in front of you, up overhead into prayer. And then bring the prayer to your heart as you come back into that squat. Our feet are a little bit closer than they were last time. Straighten the arms and legs. Press the palms up to the sky. Exhale, bring it down. Inhale, straighten up. One more time, exhale, bring it down. Good, now we're gonna stay down, lean forward, heel toe your feet in a little closer so your elbows can press your knees apart. Oh, Amanda, I know you like this, especially when we add bicep curls and things to it. Good, now bring your hands to the floor. Just hug the knees around the triceps, and then shift your weight a little bit forward and back. And then let's go ahead and heel toe a little bit closer. Hands may be off your mat and hug the knees around your triceps. Look forward and see if you want to lift your feet up off the floor and find a variation of your crow. And when you're done with that, if you're done with that, drop your seat to the floor, malasana, and just spread your knees apart. Hands come to prayer, eyes closed for a moment. So push the legs apart with your arms, and at the same time, push your arms towards your legs towards your arms. And then see if you can lengthen your spine. One more breath. As you exhale, bring the hands to the floor, lengthen the legs, turn the toes forward. Let's walk our hands back to the front. Go back to your lunge, so you might have to kick that left foot forward and that right leg back. And step back to your high plank in vinyasa or skip. Take it through your flow. You don't ever have to do it, or you could do it all day long. Hands up, hips up in the air. Good. Bring your feet back together. Right leg high in the sky. Right leg steps through. Right arm opens up to the right side twist. Right arm comes down, right leg straightens, fold. Draw that right hip back. Bring the right hand inside the right foot. This time spin your back foot on its side, bend your right knee, and notice that that right hip kind of wants to shoot out to the side. So tuck it underneath you, take the left arm up in the air, gaze up, or you can have your arm on your thigh or your hand on a block, pressing evenly into both sides of the feet. One more breath, look down at your toes. Inhale, rise up and reverse your warrior. Left arm down, right arm up. Right knee bends. Good. Pull that right knee towards the front of your mat. Draw that left hip towards your right knee. Find warrior two to come out of it. Gaze at your right hand. Gaze at your left hand. Your arms should be over your ankles or your hands. Breathe. Spread your upper thighs apart. Squeeze your inner heels together. One more breath. Good. Flip your palms, reach forward. Right arm rests on right thigh, left arm is up. Stay here, or take that left arm up and over your head. And spin your heart open. So you're bringing your right side towards your left side, and you're bringing your left shoulder back. And now make sure you're not putting all your weight into your right arm, so that if you took your arm away from your leg, you'd collapse. So make it so that you can move your hand and nothing changes here in your side. One more breath. Inhale, left arm down, right arm up. Good, straighten your arms and legs. Turn your right toes to the left. Bring your hands behind your back. Palms together, knuckles down. Lift your chest up. Okay. Stretch, stretch, stretch. Now bring your arms back behind you, head down. Hang in between your two thighs. Prasarita Padottanasana. One more breath. Lengthen your spine, look forward. Pull your shoulders back. Come back to a tabletop position with your spine. And drive through the rise up. One more time, maybe that back bend. Bring the arms up, inhale. Turn your right toes forward and windmill down to the floor. Step back to a high plank and vinyasa. All the way through. Upward and downward facing dogs. Feet together. Left leg in the air. Left leg steps through. Right hand comes in, left arm comes up, we twist. Exhale, left hand down. Left leg straightens forward. Just enough to notice where the hips are. Left hand inside, left foot. This time we bend the knee and we turn our right foot on its side. Right arm comes up, tailbone tucks underneath you. Maybe you're gazing up, maybe you're gazing down. But find the energy in that side body. Breathe in, look down at your toes, exhale. On the next inhale, windmill back to reverse warrior, bringing the right hip towards the left knee, lifting up and out of the side body. Breathe in, left knee is over ankle. Inhale. We exit by going into warrior two. Gazing at the front arm and the back arm, seeing that they're over the ankles or over the heels. Breathe in, breathe out. Find a little bit of length. Try to find that space in the side body. No collapsing. Everything lifts up and out. One more breath. Flip your palms, reach forward, left arm on the right, left thigh, right arm up. So again, if you're putting all your weight in that left arm, if you were to lift it up, you'd collapse, right? You'd fall over. So if you don't have any weight there and you can lift your arm up and down, that's when you know you're using your body, you're using your core. You're not just using this crutch. Oh, Holly, she took my shoe. Holly, bring my shoe back. One more breath. Good. Inhale, come back. Turn your left toes forward. This time, take your arms behind your back. Hands in prayer. If that's too extreme for your shoulders, go back to crossing or pressing your palms together. Inhale. Lean forward and reach your head forward, tailbone back. Keep looking forward. Inhale and exhale. Go down as far as you can without compromising any of your form. Head to the floor, palms are pressing in prayer. Inhale and exhale. One more big breath. Inhale, lengthen your spine, come back to that tabletop. Release your hands to the floor, spin around to the front. Make your way through your vinyasa. Take it in, take it up. Find yourself into a downward facing dog. If downward facing dog is too much, 1 second, then go into child's pose. Breathe in, breathe out. All right, everybody, come to your knees, find yourself back into your child's pose, stretch your arms by your side. If you're wondering where I am, I just went to retrieve my shoe before she ate it. So come into nice, easy child's pose. Bring the arms by your side. Drape your shoulders open. Let your head come down. Just rest. And roll up to sit on your heels. And I always say a day without Madonna is like a day without sunshine. Come up to your hands and knees. Separate your legs if you're on my playlist. Hands on your back. Just give a little massage to the kidney area. You might want to tuck your toes. You'll see if you need to. And bring your hands to prayer. So here, you want to make sure that right now we're just stacking right on top of ourselves. Shoulders on top of hips, on top of knees. And then we're going to bring our hands to prayer and lift up and out of the torso into a little bit of a back bend. I don't have the biggest extension in my spine, but what I'm going to do is take my right arm and slide it up. I'm going to follow my gaze to my right heel. Might have to tuck the toes under to get there. Once I get a hold of it, I'm not in the pose. Now I spin my shoulders so they're squared, and I push my hips forward. Left arm maybe comes up and flips the palm back. So instead of just kind of collapsing back here, I've created somewhat of an arch to my back, right? And I'm on one side, and we'll notice maybe one side goes easier than the other. One more big breath. Come back up, right hand meets left. Hands come to prayer. One more time, breathe, arms up. Take the left hand and follow it around to the left foot. Once I get my hand to my foot, or maybe I've got to tuck my toes to do that, I then spin my shoulders and hips forward, spin my right arm back, facing back, and push my hips towards the front of my mat. Right? So I get a little bit more of that extension in my spine. Breathe in, breathe out. Inhale, left arm meets right. Hands to prayer, have a seat on your heels. Breathe. Close your eyes for a moment. Inhale, rise back up onto your shins. Maybe you tuck your toes. One arm at a time or two arms together. Bring your arms up, gaze up, and then take your hands to your heels. Tuck the toes if you need it. Push the hips forward, shoulders and hips stay squared. And if it feels good, let the head drop back. If it doesn't, don't go there. Breathe in, breathe out. Push those hips towards the front of your mat. If you have more, some of you can bring your forearms back behind you, kind of a scorpion pose, getting the forearms to the floor. Or maybe you just like to bring, like I do, like to bring my hands in prayer. Come up slowly. Good. Bring your knees a little bit closer. Grab a hold of your heels as you sit down onto your heels. Lift your chest, inhale. Bring your chin to your chest. Bring your forehead on top of your knees and the crown of the head to the floor. Inhale. Lift your hips up off your heels. Round and curl your spine. So if you pull against your heels and suck up your abs towards your spine, you'll get a really nice release and a rounding in the back. Because we've done back extension, now we need some flexion of the spine. One more breath. Sit back on your heels. Release your hands into child's pose. Stretch your arms out and your hips back. Breathe in, breathe out. Inhale, rise up, hands and knees, toes tucked, find your downward facing dog. Walk your hands to your feet. Come to the back of your mat. Rise to your fingertips, shins, or blocks. Lengthen your spine. Exhale, fold. Peace finger grip around your big toes. Wrap your thumbs in between your fingers and your toes. Lengthen your spine. Elbows out to the side, head to the shins. Send your weight forward and let go. Breathe. Inhale. And exhale. See if you can roll yourself in half even more. And then inhale, rise up halfway. Final tug of your toes. Bring your hands away from your toes to your heart center and rise up to stand. Heel toe your feet to touch. Ground your feet. Lift your knees up. Tuck your tailbone underneath you. Send the weight to your left leg. Right leg lifts up. Balance. Flex the foot. Bring the knee in line with the hip, but maybe a little higher towards the belly button. And then open that leg out to the side. Pull the knee up. Place the foot in for tree pose, Vrikshasana. Hands in prayer. Now draw that left hip towards midline. Draw your inner foot and your inner thigh towards each other. So we're creating this compression towards the midline of our body. And our hands are doing the same thing as our foot. Breathe in, breathe out. Find the energy in that left standing leg. And then slowly release it. Cross the ankle, right leg over left, figure 4. You can stay right where you are. You can start to bend your knees and drop your hips, and then flex that right foot. You can take this all the way down to the floor, toe stand, or you can take the arm balance, bringing your right foot around your left tricep, walking your hands out, and hugging that right knee around your right tricep, and maybe that left leg lifts up from the floor, and maybe not. So any variation of this is welcome. I encourage you to explore your spaces. And then press through that left foot as you rise up to standing. If you're not there, take your time getting there. Cross right leg over left leg. So we're standing, still at the back of the mat. Lift the arms in the air. Separate your thumbs and forefingers. Lift out of your waistline and up and over to the left side. Inhale back to center. Take it over to the other side. Come back to center. Hands to your heart center. Separate your feet. Shake out your legs if you need it. Now send your weight to your right leg without collapsing into it. Lift your left knee up and balance. Keep the knee in line with the hip. Maybe in line with the belly button, right? Or each one of us might be designed a little bit differently. And then open the knee out to the left side. Grab a hold of the foot, place it in your thigh, below your knee, on the floor, just not on your knee. And then think about pulling that right hip really close to center, and your foot and your hands are doing the same thing. So we're pressing our palms with even pressure. Foot has even pressure against that inner thigh. Breathe in, breathe out. Find some stability, find some focus. Drishte, your focal point. Stay grounded. And then gently let go of the left leg. Hold it there. And sweep it around to a figure four on top of, whoops, maybe not, on top of your right thigh. This is perfect. You can stay right here. Or you can begin to bend down. Or maybe you go all the way to the floor. So this is my really tight hip. So I don't always get myself down to the floor. I get enough benefit just by bending my right knee and putting some pressure on the outside of that ankle to open the hip this way, right? Without force, without creating any problem for my hips or knees. So if you can get down to the floor and do that arm balance, great. If you're just here or halfway down, great. Take your time and make your way slowly back up to standing. Left leg crosses over right leg. Arms up in the air. Thumb and forefinger release, lift up and over to the right side. Feel that nice stretch down the left side of your hip. Inhale through center to the other side. Pulling the right arm with the left. Inhale back to center. Bring the hands to prayer. Bring your legs apart. Separate your feet one more time. Fold in between your thighs. Hang your head, sway a little side to side. Climb to your fingertips, lengthen your spine. Walk out to your downward facing dog. Inhale, high in your tippy toes. Shift forward to high plank. Good. Push back to downward dog. Good. Right hand to left foot, shin or ankle. You might have to shorten your stance here and twist underneath. Come back to center and switch sides. Left hand to right foot, shin or ankle. Back to center, downward dog. Shift forward into your high plank. If you need to, you drop a knee to the floor. Bring your right hand to the center, spin, keep your legs staggered. So you keep left foot in front of right, left arm comes up, inhale. Lift the bottom side of your body up. Exhale, scoop that left arm through, lift your hips in the air, like snake in a reformer. Inhale, left arm up, hips up. Exhale, round underneath. Inhale, high plank. High Stephen. closer and do the same thing. Right hand to left foot, shin or ankle, look under the arm. Inhale and exhale. Return your hands to the floor. Step back to your high plank. Left hand in the center, shift over so your right foot is staggered in front. Right arm up, hips up in the air. Take your right hand underneath your left arm and lift the hips up in the air. So again, if you've done reformer snake, this is reformer snake, arms up. And then twist underneath. And arm up. Right hand down. Plank. Lift your hips into your downward dog. Step your feet forward. Left hand to right foot, shin or ankle. Twist. And then return back to your downward facing dog. Chest to thighs. High on your toes, everything is nice and engaged. Come forward to your high plank. Pull the belly in. Lower your forearms, low plank. Step back a little bit. Shift your shoulders over your elbows. Pull your belly in. And then lower your hips to the floor, back to Sphinx. Pull your hips through, chest open, shoulders back. Inhale. And exhale. Place your forehead on your hands. Turn your toes pigeon. Shift your hips a little bit off side to side. Stretch your arms out like a T. Fingertips on the floor, so you're kind of like spider fingers here. Lengthen your spine and lift your head and chest off the floor. Keep the head in line with your spine. And then lift your legs up off the floor. Release your hands back, interlace your fingers. Draw your feet together. Lift your chest up. You're resting on that space that we talked about earlier, right below the hip bones, right above the pubic bone. Breathe in, breathe out. Kick a little higher. Lift a little higher. And release hips to heels, child's pose. Let it go. For those of you who invert, you're going to come to your forearms. Let's all go to the forearms because there's always something you can do. So bring your hands together, interlace your fingers, squeeze your elbows towards each other, tuck your toes underneath you, lift your hips in the air. Without placing your head on the floor, look towards your hands, bring your chin in front of your thumbs as you shift forward, and back a couple times. So I'm going to give you a couple options. This is one of them. Do this to strengthen your shoulders and your core. Or if you are advanced into a forearm balance, you'll just separate your hands, walk your feet in. If you want to play at it and you're not sure yet, lift one leg in the air, and maybe you'll start kicking one leg in the air. The leg that's in the air is straight. The other leg kicks towards your buttocks. So try that a couple times on each side if you want to try that. If you want to try for a headstand, feel free to use a wall for any of these, by the way. But if you want to go into a headstand, you wrap your hands behind your head, walk your feet up, and maybe you start to lift one leg at a time, floating both legs in the air. Now that's not having to happen, so you can lift one leg up at a time and play with it. So explore for another minute or so. If you're up in your headstand, if you're in any inversion, if you'd like, you can take your prasarita once again, coming into this forward fold in between your two legs. Or you're working on your dolphin push-ups, as I call them, bringing your thumb in front of or your chin in front of your thumbs. So there's a lot of option and opportunity here, okay? So you take it as an option or an opportunity. The other option is to go back into child's pose and take a few breaths. And then when everybody's done playing, back to child's pose one more time. Relax yourself as you roll to sit up on your heels. Shift your legs off to either side. and scoot them down to the front of your mat. Walk yourself out. Good, so rock side to side so that you remove the flesh. And then place your hands on the outside of your knees, turn your toes up, and lift your chest up. Breathe, inhale, and exhale. So if you lift your hands up but you collapse, keep your hands down, or maybe bend your knees, right? I'm gonna turn my mat just a little bit. You can stay where you are, just so you can see me better from the side. So sitting in staff pose, Dandasana, we keep ourselves nice and lifted. So there's a lot of core action here, just to hold us up here, because otherwise we'd be here. Right, so hold on, flex your feet, lift your knees up, pull your knees towards your hips, and then press your thighs to the floor. And then bring your hands in prayer. One more big prayer for us. This time I want you to round your spine and come down about to your waistline. About to your waistline. Keeping the hands in prayer, nothing moves but the arms. Bring the arms overhead, and then bring them over to your right side, exhale. Inhale over your head, exhale to your left side. Inhale over your head, exhale to your right side, pull your left arm to the right. One more time to the left side. Exhale up and over the left side. Inhale back up. Exhale, hands in front of you. Flex your feet so hard, so strong, that you round your spine up slowly without jerking. Reach forward and round over your legs. Grab your big toes if you can. Bend your knees if you need to. Lengthen your spine, inhale. And then pull the elbows out to the side, head over towards the toes. So get as low as you can with a lengthened spine. Pull your toes up, pull your heels away, pull your shoulders back, pull your chest forward. Breathe in. And breathe out. Pull against the toes. No. Rise up. That was for my dog, not for you. Lift up nice and tall. Bring the chin to the chest. Round your back. Take your time all the way down to the floor. As you get to the floor, hug your knees into your chest. Good. Take a happy baby pose, bringing your hands outside your feet, maybe your big toe grip, maybe the bottoms of your feet underneath your thighs. If your tailbone lifts, you've got to just maybe back off your hands somewhere, right? If you're holding your toes but your hips are in the air, see if you can hold your calves perhaps instead. And if it feels good to roll side to side, you do that. And we're just going to take one more bridge or back bend. You choose what's right for you. We've done a lot of back bending today. Bring your knees towards your chest. Hug the top of your shins or your foot. Round and curl your spine, pull your belly in. And then guide your feet to the floor as your head comes down. So you're holding onto your ankles, your back arches. Shift your pelvis so your back imprints a little bit more. And then lift your hips up off the floor. Starting here, everybody will start in the same place. Knees in line with the hips, you stay here, or release your arms and interlace your fingers behind your back. Maybe you support your hands on your back for a bridge, or maybe you have a block. Or if you want to take that one really big back bend, rising up into a big Urdhva Dhanurasana, upward facing bow pose. Your choice again, because I need you to be where you need to be today. So take a few breaths in any of those poses, any of those places. And when you're ready to come down the top of the head, upper mid, then lower back to the floor, hug the knees into the chest. One final option for anything that you need that maybe I haven't told you about yet. Legs up in the air if you'd like, just holding into a Viparita Karani, legs up the wall. You can do this on the wall. You can support yourself with a block. Maybe you like to take yourself into plow or shoulder stand or both of those. So again, another minute to play here with what suits you just fine. Or make your way right into your Shavasana, laying on your back. When you're ready, the final release. The final moments of meditation, of complete surrender to your mat, of letting go of all the physical
tension, but the good tension that we put on our body today, right? There's the tension that we get just by walking out the door and getting frustrated with the traffic, with no parking spaces, somebody put into your parking space. This is the tension that we've placed to increase our strength, our muscularity, our joints, our bones. Good tension. So let go of that tension now. Let everything melt into the mat. Let your mind and body be still. One final opportunity to give to yourself today. As you lay here in corpse pose, Shavasana, scan your body from head to toe and just make sure that that tension does not remain, that you are able to physically unplug, mentally unplug. If you have the opportunity to stay in your Shavasana longer, deeper, please stay there. If you need to make your way back out of it, start to bring your breath back. Start to move your fingers, your toes, your wrists, your ankles. Lovingly draw your knees to your chest. Make your way onto either side. And then bring yourselves up to a comfortable seat. Once again, bringing your hands to your prayer center. So know that you have done the best thing for your body, mind, and soul today by getting on your mat, even if it's for 5 minutes a day. Om Shanti, 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 Om peace, peace, peace. I wish you all that are celebrating a happy, healthy, safe, peaceful New Year. I wish that all for everybody every day. Namaste, Satnam, go in peace. Have a wonderful, wonderful day. Thank you all for being here. We practice tomorrow at 10:30. Stay home, stay fit, stay healthy.